Hello everybody and welcome back to episode number 4 of the Pitwall Podcast. I'm your host ZakRC, joining me always is F1Adam44. And there's a bit of a change this week in case you might be able to hear what's going on behind my house. And today we're on Discord for today's episode as opposed to being in college where we'd normally film. So Adam, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's a bit strange. Kind of prefer the studio, but we got to deal with what we got to deal with.
Yeah, we're on Easter holidays right now and it's like it's just stress. But regardless, we're back here for another episode. We're a week later because we decided to wait a week before the week of the Australian Grand Prix, which is this weekend. But first, we've got to talk about Saudi Arabia. What a race it was, despite everything that went on. Great race.
Yeah, fantastic race, definitely. Red Bull, of course, hit him back in both. I would say both qualifying and the race. We've had the Ferraris stay in roughly around the top, but a bit of a struggle there from the lagging behind Mercedes.
I mean, of course, the big shock was Lewis Hamilton getting knocked out in Q1 for the first time since late 2017. Incredible stuff, but very unfortunate for the 7-time world champion. I hope he can bounce back this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It was not the best of weekends, of course. That Q1 exit really surprised genuinely everyone. But he did have a reported setup issue, which really didn't help the champion. And George Russell managed to get up into the top 10, which was not a good, not the greatest view.
Not a good look for Lewis.
George qualified in P6 on the grid.
Yeah, this weekend was definitely a struggle for Mercedes. I'm hoping they bounce back this weekend with some upgrades they bring in
They've got a. Sorry to butt in, but they have got a new floor arriving for this race, so hopefully that'll maybe improve something.
I think it would definitely help because I was reading something that George Russell said that 99% of Mercedes problems coming from the porpoising.
Yeah.
Or porpoising. How you pronounce it? But we're going to pronounce it porpoising, or at least I am. I don't know about you, but I'm going to pronounce it how it sounds because I'm English and I pronounce my letters like I'm English. So porpoising is what's happening.
I'm saying porpoising as well.
Fair enough. Right then, so Verstappen then managed to win the race over Charles Leclerc, his first of the season and the first in starting off his title defence. Leclerc came home in second, obviously just behind him. I think it was, half a second between them, and then Sainz finished in third place in the other Ferrari. So the Scuderia still on top in the Constructors' Championship, and Leclerc still in the lead of the drivers. But yeah, Charles and Max, this is the new rivalry. What do you think of it?
It's fantastic to see, and I think we have also been. This is another rivalry we've been waiting for quite a long time. I remember them battling at the British Grand Prix in 2019. Charles getting his elbows out, and they're back at it again.
Yeah,
A lot of. Should we talk about the DRS chicken game?
Oh yeah, it was amusing to watch, but it was just a bit. It felt. It didn't feel like as much racing as it did. Like a game of tactics, basically. I mean, obviously that is a big part in Formula One, but I do feel like the DRS does help at some circuits. But I mean, I'm not entirely sure about the whole DRS chicken game. I'm not really sure it was the best ideas. I mean, it could increase when we go to Melbourne this weekend because They've got 4 DRS zones on the Albert Park circuit this year. What with the changes they've brought in, both of them coming one after the other. So they've got one set of 2 midway through, basically between sectors 2 and 3, and then the DRS zone at the start of the lap. So
yeah, I found that very, very strange, if I'm honest. But back to Saudi Arabia, I personally, it's entertainment. In the moment, but after the race, when you look back at it, you think, I was a little bit stupid. Why is this happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah. To be honest, I do think it was purely just down to the fact that obviously Jeddah is a very fast circuit, and both cars are good in terms of straight line speed, and with that DRS, it helps them even more. And if they didn't get our DRS range having taken the lead, with one DRS line going right off the other. If they didn't take the lead then and they didn't try and build that advantage, then it'd be over. They just get past again, and it would keep on going in a loop. So I can see why they did it, but it felt like fabricated entertainment in a way. But I still enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. I definitely had fun.
Yeah, I think also with Verstappen winning, that's gonna start opening up. They know what they've got to do. So of course, at the battle with Charles and I'm waffling now. So yeah, fantastic from Max. He really needed that to he's got to defend the title at the moment, and I think that's a really needed step forward for Red Bull, and especially with Perez grabbing pole position. That they know he's quick now, but a bit of unfortunate events from Perez, put him down to 4th place by the end of the race. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean the safety car that was. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't really Perez's fault. It was purely just bad luck, if you ask me. But just really bad timing with Perez chose to make a stop. Charles Leclerc stayed out. He was giving chase to the Mexican. Leclerc stayed out that 1 lap longer, and then the safety car came out, and so that kind of just ruined Perez's race, and everyone else managed to close up to him, and then they just got away from him, and that was really it. Of course, Nicholas Latifi brought out that safety car. Second time in 3 races he's impacted a race for a Red Bull driver. Although we're not going to talk about Abu Dhabi because it bothers me on Twitter to see if everyone's still talking about it. I was going through Twitter earlier today and it was just annoying to see. But regardless, do feel bad for Perez.
Yeah, I do want him to get a win after that effort. So hopefully he will be able to get one during the season. Yeah,
definitely soon. I reckon I reckon his wait has been long enough for another win. It's been almost a year. I feel like that's too long for a driver like Perez. I mean, because like
over a year.
Over a year. Yeah. I mean, when was Azerbaijan?
Oh,
you're forgetting things here, Adam.
Yeah, I'm forgetting about Azerbaijan.
Your memory's going in your old age.
That was May last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost a year. Months. I mean, today we're recording and it's early April, so. But yeah, do feel bad for Perez. I didn't want him to get a victory at some point, but regardless, the drivers who won the race, obviously, or finished on the podium, obviously did that. And then looking at the standings, Verstappen that was his first points of the year after the retirement in Bahrain, so he's still 20 points off Leclerc in the championship. Sainz is 12 back, and the constructors' championship, Ferrari lead by 40 points over Mercedes in second and Red Bull in third. That's mad to think. Still, after all the struggle they've been through in these first 2 races, they're still sitting there second in the constructors. Obviously, it was helped big time with Red Bull's retirement in Bahrain, but yeah, Mercedes they're not doing as bad as we think.
Yeah, it's all the porpoising and possibly the engine. They've got massive upgrades coming for the next 3 races, which is I hope that could get them into a title-winning car, and definitely be up there with the Red Bull, with the Ferraris. I know Red Bull's also bringing upgrades for Imola, trying to make their car a little bit lighter. So we could be seeing very, very equal cars by the end of the season, by the tether end of the season. But also we need to be thinking about the how did you say it?
Take your time.
Cost cap.
That's the one, yeah. That was a big thing. Yeah. One bit I do want to talk about real quick. Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but we have Mick Schumacher who crashed in qualifying. He got out okay, but he didn't actually start the race because of that cost cap. Haas decided it'd be easier to just move on to Australia for Schumacher as opposed to spend money on potentially risking some of that cap coming into the season by trying to repair the car and getting like fresh parts on it.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a wise decision from Haas. They don't want to be wasting money on a car for it to risk crashing again. So of course Kevin Magnussen, his teammate, went out there and finished P9. Fantastic result for the Dane.
Magnussen's doing amazing when you really look at it. If
really
is. Look at the drivers' championship. He's in 8th place, which is incredible stuff. I mean, he's beating the likes of Bottas, Alonso, Tsunoda, Gasly, Norris. He's beating his teammate, obviously. But yeah, he's doing very well.
And a lot of people kind of forget this, but if that was Mazepin, he would be absolutely nowhere. If that was Nikita, I think he would be absolutely nowhere.
What, as in if it was Nikita in that seat, or if it was Nikita scoring points?
If it was Nikita in that car instead of Magnussen, there'll still be no points for Haas.
Yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, that's what we expect. Because of course, we're still not expecting loads and loads from Mick Schumacher. I mean, he's in a better car now in terms of that kind of thing. But he's still a very raw talent. He's still got a lot more to learn, as much as he has learned from having a 7-time world champion for a dad, and all the stuff he's learned over the course of his junior career. But he's still got a long way to go. So let's not be predicting loads and loads of points from yet. Although I reckon this could be a breakout year because he's got that potential to do it. But yeah, of course, the crash that last weekend probably didn't put him back a bit, but it's definitely a bit of a damp. Brought him back to earth a bit, reminding us that this is still only his second season in F1.
Yeah, I think that's it would definitely learn throughout the season, especially coming from an experienced driver like Magnussen. We'll definitely be able to see a better Schumacher scoring points by the end of the season.
Yeah. All right. So I want to move on to the actual Jeddah circuit itself and like the dangers of Jeddah, because I mean there was a lot of controversy surrounding this race weekend in particular, and I'm pretty sure there was like a potential boycott of the race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a meeting that went on for a very long time, long into the night, and yeah, I just found it a little bit worrying about the attacks that happened, especially the ones we had this year, and I think it's not. Yeah, this just shows that it's not just on the track. That's the worry. It's also off the track.
Mhm. Yeah, I do agree with you there. I mean, I'll be honest. When the FIA announced that they were still going to be racing, my immediate first thought, not one word of a lie, is one of these 20 drivers is going to die on Sunday, because of the whole missile strikes thing going on nearby, the Aramco fuel explosion or whatever went on down there. But yeah, that was my initial thought. One of these drivers is going to die. But nothing bad happened in terms of on the track. No one died.
That's good to know that everyone's okay,
Alive.
and walked out alive.
Yeah.
Do you think? Of course, what would you say if the big problems on track with the circuit?
Okay, right. So one thing I'm gonna say about Jeddah might be a bit against the whole idea of the track, but it comes back to an old question: how much is too much? Yeah. Is loads and loads and loads of speed on a street circuit a good thing?
No,
because
I'd say no.
Yeah, let's not forget that while this circuit is incredibly fast and there are some parts of track, while it's not like exactly on like city streets as opposed to like in Singapore where it's literally run like in the middle of the city, it's run sort of like on that coastline, sort of like Monaco is, but this is still a street circuit.
Yeah, it's basically going up and down a coast on a road, with very little. They haven't added any chicanes, or they could have added a bit of a tighter hairpin rather than I think it's the turn 13 right at the left side of the circuit. You know what I mean?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, my knowledge of Jeddah is still a little bit rusty in terms of what corners which.
Yeah, because there's 27 of
There's
them.
27 corners. It's an awful lot. But yeah, I reckon if we're going to continue racing at Jeddah, we need to balance things a little bit more. Bring things, maybe tone down the speed a little bit. Not enough so it's no longer considered the fastest street circuit in the world, because that was the whole thing, that this Jeddah was meant to be the fastest street circuit I've ever seen. And for these first two races, yeah, it's produced exciting racing, but I reckon there needs to be at some point in the track not something too big that like spoils the racing completely, but just something in terms of in terms of just keeping it fast but safe, because correct me if I'm wrong, but let me get my words out. Last year's Grand Prix, wasn't there something about safer barriers on the Jeddah circuit, either that they had just put them in or they didn't have any, something like that? Or am I repressing that for some reason?
No, I think they were planning to put in like better safer barriers, in the circuit. But also, speaking of barriers, I just think that if you make one little mistake, the barriers are just so close that you're guaranteed a massive accident, because speed plus barriers close to you can end in a horrific accident, as Mick Schumacher did show.
I mean, it's a miracle you got out okay if we're really thinking about it. Right. If I just collect myself for a second, because I've lost my train of thought. I was gonna not challenge the idea of the barriers being close, because there are some corners, especially in the first sector, where the barriers are like out like further out here, and you sort of skid a bit before you actually hit the barrier, but you still carry a lot of that speed should you spin off. But I feel like they need to implement something similar to Paul Ricard, in the idea that the coloured strips on the side of the track sort of slow things down.
Yeah, I get you. I do think there just needs to be a little bit more runoff. With the circuit. I'm just trying to load up maps and see if I can see if there's like any possibility of these like little changes. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm actually doing. I'm not even kidding.
While you're doing that, I will ask your overall opinion on this. Should we actually be racing in Jeddah or in Saudi Arabia? If I ask you that.
I'm gonna say no. It's of course, like Lewis and Seb have also commented on the human rights. I'm pretty sure this was Bahrain, but I just wanted to mention that Lewis Hamilton got sent a letter by a fan saying he was on like death row, and which was pretty concerning. Yeah, I just think that, especially with all the laws there, and a very dangerous street circuit, it's not great. I've currently got the circuit up.
Adam and Google Maps, ladies and gentlemen, here it comes.
So, there's some points of the circuit where you can. I think there's a bit like after, the long left-hander where Latifi crashed, and then you can maybe make that like a slight bit wider, or maybe you got like a tiny bit of a right curb, bit of a left curb, and then you've got down a few gears through the right, through the long, through a bit of a left-hander. You can maybe extend there. There's a few more places, but I think this is something that the need to look at, or you get rid of it completely. I just don't want to go back to the circuit thinking one of these drivers could get really hurt. I think that's one of the worst feelings coming into a circuit. You want to be excited. You want to be excited for a race weekend, and the last thing you want in the back of your head is someone might get seriously hurt at this Grand Prix.
Yeah, I do agree.
Also, I've just found by the pit entry, someone's put a landmark for Alpine retirement.
That's the thing I love about F1 and Google Maps, is that there's always someone who does the kind of thing. Because there were a couple of retirements in the space of a couple of laps. I mean, it triggered a virtual safety car, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the virtual safety car. Bottas retired.
Ricciardo retired.
And Alonso's car shut off.
So
There's three comments. There's 3 comments, and underneath it just says Alpine.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, doesn't alpine? Couldn't you then use that to make the word alpine?
You can actually.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what alpine is. Alpine is just an anagram of alpine for Alonso.
Oh no!
Oh,
Alonso came in wanting to win a third world championship.
now he's getting his alpine. What a breakthrough! Absolute revelation here. Okay, right. So I do want to move on now to talking about Australia, which will be the last, which will be two occasions to me. It'll be the first time I'm watching Australia live, because I'm gonna get up at 6 to watch the race, and so why?
So fair play.
Oh, they said why? I was like, hang on a minute, surely you'd be doing that, no. And the other thing is, it'll be the last time for a little while I'll be watching F1 race live.
Oh really?
Because I am now working on Sundays, and my shift ends at 3. So I'm working when the majority of European races start.
No, don't worry. I've got work as well. I've had 2 weeks already, and I've got a Thursday to Monday shifts from 11:30 to 6.
Wait, so you're gonna miss them all? Well, are you working on Sunday?
I probably am. Probably working most Sundays.
Yeah, it's gonna be painful. But yeah, so no more live F1 for me.
Unfortunately, Alpine. We're part of Alpine.
Indeed. But yeah, right. I'm still looking forward to Melbourne, because that's the next one coming up. Returning to Melbourne for the first time since 2019, or technically 2020, because we were there before it got shut down thanks to COVID.
Yeah, that was weird, because I just want to take you back a little while. I think I've told you this, but I haven't told the people of the podcast.
Go on, tell the story.
I was up for ages trying to listening in to what's happening with the Australian Grand Prix. I was literally up at 1 o'clock in the morning, just waiting to see what happened. I saw that Kimi Räikkönen and Vettel were booking flights away from the circuit, and it was such a strange time.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, it just felt so weird, just seeing an F1 event get cancelled live.
Yeah, it was incredibly. It wasn't very nice. I got quite a different. I found out in quite a different way. So basically, based on your story, I think I must have found out later in the day than when you did, way later, because I remember being in maths in year 10, and we were in the computer rooms, and I just finished the maths work we'd been set, so I was like, calm, I'll go and look at the Friday practice times, the live timing, and see what's going on. And that's when I opened a new tab, and in the school I went to, we had on the computers, if you open a new tab, we have this general news site. I'm not quite sure what it was, and the first thing I'm seeing is F1 Australian Grand Prix cancelled 90 minutes before the start of free practice 1. And I'm just thinking, it's so annoying. And that was it. And just like that, all the Grand Prix just started dropping off. Yeah, it was horrible.
I remember just posting about how all the events were getting cancelled, and it was just even the regulation we got this year, they were meant for last year. That got cancelled as well.
But it was nightmare fuel. Let's think of this. Let's face it. For F1 fans, it was nightmare fuel.
It really was.
But regardless, we are now back to Australia, and we got some couple track changes, which I'm very, very excited for.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to. I'm more interested to see what they're gonna prove, because of course we got I think it's the 910 chicane.
Yeah, I've got a funny story about that actually. It's time for I've got another story. Not really a story. This is quite funny, because when I first started playing the F1 games, I was playing F1 2011 on my 3DS when I was little, and in Australia, I always used to I always used to turn off too early because you know how it's got the sort of run. What is basically now a chicane is now it used to be like the runoff area.
Yeah.
I used to always go through that without realizing. So I cut the corner and I get like a penalty or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And now that is basically becoming the new turn 9 and turn 10.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be doing that like 11 years on from that.
I mean, you were just thinking forward. If I'm honest, you were just thinking. You're big brained. You were very big brained.
Big brained in my 144p HRT machine, which I drove to a world championship on that game because I was playing on easy difficulty because I was like 8 or 9. Love it. Anyway, but yeah, so at Melbourne, the Charles versus Max championship race continues, and Max has still got a bit of catching up to do. Do you reckon they'll make contact this weekend?
No, I've already made my prediction.
Have you now?
And I said that I was with the podcast. I was with Owen, NFFC OM, and we were saying when we think we're going to collide. And I said Azerbaijan.
Oh, really?
Owen decided to say Imola.
Jeez.
What are you thinking?
If I give myself a quick look at the calendar right here, I reckon it's going to be either in Miami or Spain.
Ooh.
It won't be like massive. One of them goes off the track collision. It'll be contact the like first couple of corners, and one of them goes ahead, and the other one's annoyed afterwards. And it'll play like a large part in the race victory, and then whoever gets hit and finishes second or lower will then mouth off to the media, and there'll be all controversy about that when it comes to the next race. Ooh, there's my story.
You're saying Spain or Miami?
One of the two.
I'm gonna write that down.
Oh, you gonna hold me to it?
I'll just see who's got like the best, who guessed best.
Fair enough. Then I can do some predictions if you ask me. Predict your podium, Adam, for the Australian Grand Prix.
Right then. I'm gonna I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be a normal top 3. I think actually.
Oh, he's reconsidering. Gonna have to pressure for an answer.
There's 4 drivers I think, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be Perez third, Verstappen second, Leclerc will win.
That's exactly what I've got written down on my F1 play right here.
Oh my god!
All right then. So who will set the fastest lap?
Fastest lap.
I'm just making you do my F1 play at this point.
All right, go on. Sainz.
Okay, you say Sainz. I'm gonna put down Verstappen. Right.
You think he's gonna go on a late pit stop for like
maybe
like a late charge?
Maybe. I mean, I've seen him do it before, and I was like, Okay. Next up, I'm gonna give you a list of drivers, and I'm gonna tell me who finishes the race in the highest position.
Go on.
Norris, Ocon, Alonso, Gasly, Vettel, Bottas, Magnussen.
Oh my!
I know it's difficult.
What?
It's difficult. I know.
So, I'm gonna like narrow it down to Gasly, Alonso, Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen.
Yeah, real good narrowing. That's still 5 choices.
I think Haas are gonna have an issue at some point. So Magnussen's. So it's not gonna be Magnussen.
Mhm.
I think AlphaTauri are gonna go mid mode. Alpha mid. So it's Ocon, Alonso, or
Norris.
No, it's Bottas.
Oh yeah. Norris won and you not got in the first place. Okay, so who do you reckon then? Alpine or Bottas?
I'm gonna say Bottas. You know.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If you're so confident about that, I got one more round of drivers for you.
Go on.
Okay. Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon, Latifi, Zhou, Schumacher. It's difficult, I know.
So I'm gonna eliminate. I'm gonna put in Tsunoda as an early choice. Who else there?
Okay, so one more time. Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon, Latifi, Zhou, Schumacher.
Right, I've got Tsunoda, Stroll, Zhou, and Schumacher. Oh, and Albon.
Once again, great narrowing.
I think Schumacher's going to miss out on points.
You have to push you for an
Yeah,
answer.
Albon. I'm going to say
5.
Tsunoda.
Ooh.
Tsunoda
Tsunoda it is then. Okay. Who do you see having like issues this weekend? Do you reckon? Do you reckon there'll be any retirements?
I'm trying to look down the list.
So this could be absolutely anyone.
Absolutely, I know. There's someone I really want to say, but
Say it.
I don't
Say
want to. It's gonna make me sad.
You're saying Lewis, aren't you?
No,
Oh, shocker.
Russell.
Why does that make you sad, mate?
I like Russell.
Everyone likes Russell.
Everyone likes Russell.
Alright, so but you reckon he'll have a problem this weekend?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm putting him down my answer for which driver will be the first to retire.
Yeah. I think it might be like an engine failure, or he might have like
Floor
he might
damage.
spin and hit the wall,
Maybe.
and then get like big front wing damage.
I mean, I see it happen. I don't see it happen. He's only driven Australia one time.
True.
And do you see there being a lot of retirements or just a few this weekend?
I'm gonna say maybe 4 or 5.
Alright, so I'll put that down as 16 finishes they'll be classified because I don't want to risk it with 15 because I don't feel like that will happen. Do you reckon we'll see a safety car? I personally reckon we will, thanks to these
Yeah, I
faster
think.
cars and the new stuff to learn on the track.
Yeah.
And they'll realise that having 4 DRS zones maybe isn't a good idea.
At least they don't have to go through the deadly turn 12 that we have in the F1 game.
I don't understand. Why is it just so randomly difficult? I don't understand.
I had career mode recently, and in Australia I just kept avoiding that curb. I was like, no, I'm not going on that curb.
I know, but it's so hard to avoid the curb. And if you do, then you've got to lift, and if you get on the throttle too early, you go on the curb at the outside of the exit, the corner, and then just spin off, and it's horrible, and I hate it. I was, although I'll tell you, that corner has not always been as deadly, because I was playing F1 2017 yesterday, because I reinstalled that to make a video, which I'll be recording after this, and I practiced Australia, and it was fine.
Was it?
Yeah, there was nothing that went down. It just felt. I just felt like the corner wasn't as like maybe narrow. I don't know.
Yeah, I get yeah.
But yeah, it was just confusing.
It was just weed boy.
Right, wonderful. Okay, now I'm gonna bring you on to the last and hardest question, and you're gonna react like, why the hell are you making me answer this when I tell you what it is?
Go on.
What will be the winning margin in seconds? He's speechless. How can you predict that?
Why is that even a thing? I'm saying 12 seconds. Why not?
Do you reckon, like, as in under 12 seconds or just over 12 seconds? Because the options are set between 7 and 12 or between 12 and 20.
Between 7 and 12.
So, that's the one I always go with. Okay. Thank you, Adam, for scamming my F1 play, and I will make sure to, and we'll do Pitwall Podcast trip to a race next year should I win.
Nice.
Although saying that, my last 2 weeks, I've got out of 20 possible predictions I could have got right, I've got a total of 5 from 2 races. It is stupid difficult because F1's so unpredictable as it is. Like,
Imagine trying to predict Formula E then, mate.
Oh, don't start me on that, mate. But yeah, it's very difficult. The Hall of Fame, there's only been like 3 different people, maybe 2 who've actually got all 10, as in.
Oh really?
And yes, so 1 there, 2 there, and I believe there must have been a third at the very start. Yeah, there's been 3 people since 2018 who have predicted all 10 answers correctly.
Fair play to them.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I've never got more than like 6. Right. So when I've done predictions, I've forgotten what else on the list.
Remember when you when you changed Ocon to Latifi and then Ocon retired.
What?
So basically, you predicted Ocon to retire.
Oh yeah. Oh, this story. I need to tell this story. Okay, right. So this is the Austrian or the Styrian Grand Prix last year, one of the 2. I was out of Brands Hatch for the day, and I had predicted that that Ocon was gonna retire first from the Grand Prix, and I looked at my phone. There was about 5 6 minutes left until race time. And I look over them one more time, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I've sort of underrated Ocon a bit. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I reckon he might actually make it to this race. So I'm going to change my prediction. I'm going to go with Nicholas Latifi. 2 corners in, Ocon gets damaged and is out and retires from the race 1 lap later.
Oh, no.
Ocon was the first retirement, and I would have got that one right if it hadn't have been for me getting cold feet and changed my mind the last possible second. It was so frustrating. I still didn't win, but it was so frustrating. But imagine if that had been the one answer I needed to actually go to this thing, and I changed it at the last second.
Oh,
I can't imagine. That'd be like your nan dying by choking on your winning lottery ticket. Just thinking about it just sounds painful. Right now that I've gotten over my traumatic stress from last year's Styrian Grand Prix, let's move on now and do it. And let's say about this weekend in Australia, or do you want to move on to Formula 2?
What about the new race?
Oh yeah, we've been going for about 40 minutes at this point. This is gonna be a long episode. Right. So, Adam, if you care to do a drum roll, please. The new Grand Prix, for those of you who have been living under a rock, is going to be held
in Las Vegas.
Vegas, baby, Vegas. Lovely stuff. But is that the best of places to be going, considering what happened last time?
I'm looking at the track map, and it doesn't seem like the best circuits. Like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's plain and simple. Might be what F1 need," but I don't get why it's another American race. I know, of course, the American market, but I just don't see why they need Las Vegas in there. Also, as well as it being down the Las Vegas Strip, that just seems a bit too. How do I put this? It's just a bit the spectacle.
I mean, yeah, that's what you need sometimes in order to in order to make something big. You need like that idea of like a spectacle. It's not gonna when we say spectacle, Adam, we're not gonna be it's not gonna be like fabricated entertainment, the kind of thing you go to like a show for in Vegas. It's gonna be it's still gonna be like a genuine race. So you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the last time we went to Las Vegas was about 40 years ago at this point. And it's this year marks 40 years since the last time we went to Las Vegas, which was in 1982, the race where Keke Rosberg won his first and only world championship. But yeah, that race is run in the parking lot of the Caesars Palace hotel / casino, and it was, I hate to say it, but it was the most pitiful excuse for a Formula 1 track I've ever seen in the whole of my life. It's so pathetic. I can't even download it on Grand Prix 4 and load it up for a race.
Don't blame you. I do not blame you.
Well, no, only research is because when it was announced last week, I wanted to do a video of doing like modern cars on Grand Prix 4 or like on Assetto Corsa on the Caesars Palace track, and it wouldn't even let me load it. The game crashed. So
oh my god!
Clearly, the game also hated it. Didn't want me to do it just to save my own eyes. Right.
Mate.
So we're now gonna have 3 American races next year. I'm not really too sure if I'm not alright with it, because I mean I'll take more races, but
yeah,
I'm not really sure if it's the right call to having 3 races in one country. And
also a lot of people are saying that we could end up with 25 races next year.
I know.
And maybe even in the near future we could end up with 30 races, which would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be
someone on Reddit I think made like a fantasy, like I say this in quotation marks, like a fantasy calendar. There was about 25 races and it ended on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Started in like early March. I'm like, oh hell! There was even a quadruple header.
Jesus.
Like what? No.
No, triple headers are enough, mate. One thing I do want to say when we talk about weird calendars and the idea of like dates and stuff. In 1976, they opened the season at Interlagos. They start the season at the end of January, and didn't race again until like mid-March.
Oh god.
Like you know when you're playing the F1 game nowadays, and you're like doing like a 10 or a 16 race calendar, and they've got those like season breaks for those bits are a bit too long. It's like having one of them. It's like doing Bahrain and then going to, when the game first came out, because obviously Imola and Portugal weren't in the game yet. You were going straight to Spain for the second race. It was like season break.
Yeah.
It was like end of March till start of May. I was like,
one race.
Love. Yeah, it's like
one
race. Right, okay, that's it. I need a break. But yeah, I'm back on the topic of Las Vegas. Do you reckon we'll get a good race there or not?
I think it would be one of those mediocre ones.
Really?
Like, not too fantastic, but not boring.
I mean, if it's boring, then they've got no hope in Vegas. They can get out.
Yeah, I'd rip up that. If I was F1, I'd rip up that contract if it was a boring race.
Rip it up and run. But yeah, I don't really think the idea of having 3 Grand Prix in one country is the best of ideas. And if you did have to do that, why? I get F1 trying to break through in that market, but why America? Why not do it in a country that's like surely they'd make more money from a country that are like already all petrol heads in terms. I mean, obviously America is a big racing country because they got NASCAR, they got IndyCar, but in terms of those are national racing divisions, and Formula 1 is international. Yeah. And it already makes sense for us having 2 Grand Prix in Italy, because obviously they did used to do that once again for Imola and Monza, and literally there are loads of people in Italy who are obviously Ferrari fans.
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel like it might make sense to me maybe have another Grand Prix in Britain. If we're going to be adding more Grand Prix and I'm still only having one in Britain, and I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah, I think there definitely could be another one in England. There
Where
could
would
be
you
another
put
one
it?
in Italy.
Where would you put it if it was in England?
I don't know.
There's a question for you.
Well,
I mean,
maybe you have one like up north in Scotland.
Maybe, who knows?
I mean, also a lot of people been wanting India back on the calendar.
No, yeah, I don't see why not. Personally, it was a decent track. I mean, I never watched the Grand Prix in India, but I've driven it a couple of times. It's alright.
Yeah. You want to move on?
Okay. Yeah. Before we go, we'll get an overall opinion. Should F1 be racing in Vegas, and will it be any good? And I've already asked you that kind of, but
personally, no.
I agree.
I don't think it's the right choice.
Definitely. Right, moving on. Formula 2. Well, Well, they're racing Saudi Arabia as well.
Yeah.
If I search up Formula 2 Saudi Arabia on Google, because I didn't watch it because I had work. Lovely stuff. Actually, no, I was at football on Saturday. Right, so let's have a look then at the results in Jeddah for Formula 2. Right then, so the sprint race was won by Liam Lawson, and the feature race winner was none other than Felipe Drugovich. Lovely stuff. Always good to see the MP winning.
Yeah, Drugovich had a blinder of a weekend. Absolutely fantastic on the. He was there in qualifying, he managed to grab pole, and I think this just proves that it was the right choice to go back to MP Motorsport. I think he did say somewhere that he didn't quite gel in with the guys at Virtuosi, and this is the reason why he moved back. And I do think it's the right choice. Of course, if you didn't know, he made his debut with the team in 2020.
Wait, really? Only 2020?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was there in 2019 as well.
2020, and then he went to Virtuosi.
Maybe
he came back. He now leads the championship by
45-34, 11-point lead over Liam Lawson, and your man Teo Pourchaire is down in fifth place, having only scored points in one of the opening 4 rounds.
Yeah, he did. Teo didn't have a good weekend, if I'm honest.
Cue the Adam depression. Cue it.
Yeah, he had a crash in qualifying, which is not great. And then he had to start the back for both races, and I think this just shows like it's the trouble you have if you have a crash in qualifying. Your whole weekend's done.
Yep.
Even had a problem in the second race, which wasn't fantastic either.
Yeah, didn't do too well. I'll tell you who else. Another driver who isn't doing too well. Dennis Hauger.
No,
down in 12th place, 8 points to his name. He got his first points in Jeddah, so that's good for him. But honestly, I expected better.
Yeah. Also, there was I think it was the sprint race where it was Doohan and Sargent who both had an accident under the safety car restart, very similar to Mugello, where half the field thought they've gone, and another half of the field thought they were still sticking under yellows, and Sargent just went into the back of Doohan, and then under that safety car, Hauger came into the pit lane. It a bit of a mix-up from Prema, and he fell all the way down the field, and even got a penalty for it. It was not great race at all for the Norwegian.
No, not very good. So
it probably bounce back at some point.
Let's hope so. Right then, so according to my screen, who's leading the standings on your screen?
It is Drugovich.
Right, because my screen says Zed Cronin for some reason. I don't know why. I did some inspect element. Lovely stuff. But yeah, so Drugovich does lead the championship despite what my screen says. Who do you reckon has like the momentum in terms of thinking about that championship so far? I mean, we only have 4 races, so it's anyone's game. I mean, heck, we could see Bollock Bassi win the title for all I know.
I think Drugovich is starting to find form with MP Motorsport. Yes, and even though this guy's podium run did end in the feature race because of a retirement, Liam Lawson, he's definitely looking strong for that title, so he should be there.
What about Teo Pourchaire? Are you still considering him? Is he still your pick?
He'll definitely. Excuse me. He'll definitely get a result in the next weekend in MLR.
You were just holding back the tears there, thinking about the fact that he scored 0 points in Jeddah. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not in a much better situation. Daruvala is my prediction. He's tied for 5th in the drivers' championship with 25 points to his name. So neither one of us are doing very good in terms of predictions.
No. Yeah. Moving, and then they've got Imola later on.
Yep.
That's the next round. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Well, of course, we'll come to Imola in next week's episode. Or wait, is it next week's episode, or will it be the week after?
week after, I think.
Okay, right. So yeah, so we'll cover that in a couple of episodes' time in terms of Imola for both F1 and F2 and F3 as well. Anything more you want to say on F2 before we move on, or do you want to move on to F3?
I'm happy to move on to a little bit of news in F3.
Right, and it is very unfortunate news we have to give to you today. Johnny Edgar, if I just bring things back up on my Instagram, Johnny Edgar unfortunately is he's out of the Formula 3 Championship. It's
really unfortunate because of course Edgar was part of the Red Bull Academy. Don't worry, he's not dead or anything, but he's got health issues. So, he's part of the Red Bull Academy. He looked to be a championship contender, but he won't be participating for a while. But Oliver Rasmussen now returns. I don't think he did amazing last year. If I look at the standings last year, no, that's not the standings. I'm trying to get them up now. 2021 standings. Rasmussen, he didn't score any points with HWA last year. So he has been to the Jerez test, which happened last weekend. So he's got a little bit of experience, but I think he'll grab a few points, maybe even a podium.
Let's hope so. But yeah, of course, it does suck for Johnny Edgar that he's unable to compete this season. But hopefully he'll be back because he's a very good driver. I do think we ought to see him back, showing what he can do behind the wheel. Right, but yeah, in that case, that is the end of the podcast. We've covered everything we need to cover, right?
Yes, we have. We've done.
Of course, we're both looking forward to the Grand Prix. Hope everyone will listen to this is too. If you have been keeping up with the episodes so far, thank you so much for listening and listening along to the stuff we ramble on about on a weekly basis. Make sure to subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify, then make sure to like the podcast, follow us as well. And then if you go into the description, there'll be a link down there, and that'll get you into all of our other stuff. So my socials, Adam's socials, and the podcast stuff. So that's Instagram, TikTok, both those being at Pitwall.podcast. But yeah, that is the end of things. So from me, it's goodbye. And from Adam, it's goodbye.
Take care, guys, and we'll see you later.
Goodbye, everybody. Peace.